Ladies and gentlemen, life is a battleground of attention. Everywhere you turn, something is clawing for your focus, distractions, temptations, fleeting pleasures. And the question is, who wins? Do you give in to chaos, or do you forge yourself into something stronger, something sharper, something sharper? You see, the mind is like a blade. It dulls when left unattended, but when honed with discipline, sharpened with purpose, and directed with unwavering focus, it becomes a weapon against mediocrity. The more you focus, the stronger your mind becomes. Check. The more you discipline your thoughts, the more you carve a path toward competence, resilience, and ultimately meaning. And meaning, my friends, is what makes life bearable. It's what makes life worth living. So tonight, let's talk about how you can train your mind, reclaim your attention, and step into the power that focus brings. Because in a world drowning in distractions, your ability to focus is your superpower. What you focus on determines your perception of the world. The mind is not a passive observer of reality. It is an active participant in constructing it. Every moment of every day, your brain is filtering an overwhelming amount of sensory information, selecting what to prioritize and shaping your understanding of the world around you. This process is neither random nor neutral. It is influenced by your habits, beliefs, and most importantly, where you direct your attention. If you allow yourself to be consumed by distractions, negativity, and chaos, your mind will reflect that. If you train yourself to focus on what is meaningful, productive, and structured, you will cultivate a sharper, more resilient mind. Consider the power of selective attention. If you decide to focus on opportunities, you will begin to see them everywhere. If you fixate on obstacles, your mind will become preoccupied with reasons why you cannot succeed. This is not some abstract psychological theory. It is a deeply ingrained mechanism within the brain. Cognitive scientists have studied this phenomenon extensively, and the results are clear. The brain seeks confirmation of what it already believes to be important. This is why when you learn a new word, you suddenly start noticing it everywhere. The word was always there, but until your brain decided it was relevant, it remained invisible to you. This concept applies to every aspect of life. If you constantly focus on problems, your brain will reinforce the idea that your world is full of difficulties. But if you train your attention towards solutions, your brain will begin scanning for ways to overcome challenges. This is why two people can experience the same situation and interpret it completely differently. One sees an opportunity for growth, while the other sees an insurmountable obstacle. The difference is not in the situation itself, but in where their minds are focused. In today's world, attention is under attack. Social media platforms, news cycles, and endless streams of digital entertainment are designed to hijack your focus, fragmenting your thoughts and pulling you in 1,000 directions at once. And this weakens your ability to think deeply, to engage in meaningful work, and to cultivate the mental resilience necessary for long-term success. Your mind becomes scattered, reactive, and unable to sustain effort on anything of substance. This is not just an inconvenience. It is a direct assault on your ability to build competence and mastery in any area of life. The strongest minds are those that have learned to take control of their attention. They do not allow themselves to be victims of distraction. They understand that focus is a skill, and like any skill, it must be developed and maintained through practice. The ability to direct your attention toward what matters is not something you are born with. It is something you cultivate through effort, through discipline, and through the conscious rejection of anything that does not serve your higher goals. One of the greatest dangers of an unfocused mind is it becomes vulnerable to external influences. When you lack control over your own attention, you are easily manipulated by advertisers, by social pressures, by whatever noise happens to be the loudest in the moment. You become reactive rather than proactive. Instead of shaping your own reality, you allow others to shape it for you. This is why reclaiming your focus is not just a matter of productivity. It is a matter of personal sovereignty. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is often a matter of where they place their attention. Highly successful individuals are not necessarily more intelligent or more talented than others, but they are more disciplined in directing their focus toward meaningful, high-impact activities. They understand that success is built on sustained effort over time, and sustained effort requires sustained attention. A scattered mind cannot produce excellence. Attention is also deeply linked to emotional resilience. When your focus is constantly jumping from one thing to another, you never develop the mental endurance required to deal with difficulties. But when you train yourself to sustain focus on a single task, you also develop the ability to endure discomfort, to push through challenges, and to remain composed under pressure. Mental strength and focused attention go hand in hand. One cannot exist without the other. What you focus on, you become. If you constantly direct your attention toward negativity, you will develop a mindset of pessimism and defeat. If you train yourself to focus on growth, learning, and solutions, you will develop a mindset of strength and progress. The mind adapts to whatever it is repeatedly exposed to. This is why it is crucial to be intentional about where you direct your attention. It is not just about what you look at, it is about what you allow to shape your thinking, your emotions, and ultimately, your life. The mind, like any other part of the body, requires training and discipline to function at its highest potential. It does not naturally gravitate toward focus, clarity, or strength. Left unchecked, the mind will wander, becoming easily distracted, lazy, and undisciplined. This is why training your mind is not just an option, it is a necessity. The ability to think clearly, to stay focused on a goal, and to push through mental resistance is not something that happens automatically. It is something that must be cultivated deliberately. The first step in disciplining the mind is understanding that it operates in patterns. If you allow yourself to indulge in distractions, procrastination, and weak thinking, your brain will reinforce those habits. It will become accustomed to immediate gratification, seeking the path of least resistance. The more you give in to these impulses, the harder it becomes to break free from. This is why mental discipline is not just about pushing through a single moment of difficulty. It is about reshaping the way your mind operates on a fundamental level. Training the mind requires conscious effort. Just as the body strengthens through resistance, the mind strengthens through sustained focus. This means deliberately engaging in tasks that require concentration and refusing to be swayed by the urge to switch to something easier. It means choosing to read instead of scrolling through social media, choosing to think deeply about a problem instead of avoiding it, choosing to persist in the face of mental fatigue instead of giving up. Every time you make the harder choice, you are strengthening your ability to control your own mind. One of the greatest challenges in mental discipline is learning to overcome the urge for instant gratification. The modern world is designed to cater to short attention spans. Everything is made to be fast, easy, and entertaining, which conditions the brain to expect constant stimulation. When you sit down to do something that requires effort, studying, working on a project, engaging in deep thought, you will likely feel an almost irresistible urge to check your phone, switch tasks, or find some other form of quick relief. This is not just a bad habit. It is a sign of an undisciplined mind. The ability to resist this urge and remain focused is what separates those who accomplish great things from those who do not. Mental discipline is also about managing emotions. An undisciplined mind is easily swayed by feelings of doubt, frustration, and boredom. When things become difficult, it seeks an escape. But a disciplined mind learns to recognize these emotions without being controlled by them. It understands that frustration is part of the process, that boredom is something to be worked through rather than avoided, that doubt is not a reason to stop, but a challenge to overcome. The more you train yourself to act independently of your emotions, the stronger your mind becomes. A key element of mental discipline is developing a routine. The brain thrives on structure. When you establish consistent habits, setting aside time for focused work, eliminating unnecessary distractions, practicing self-control in small moments, you make discipline easier. You remove the need to constantly battle with yourself over what to do next because your habits already align with your goals. The best athletes, musicians, thinkers, and leaders do not rely on motivation alone. They rely on systems, on routines, on structures that keep them disciplined even when they do not feel like it. Another essential part of disciplining the mind is learning to sit with discomfort. The modern world teaches people to seek comfort at all costs, but real growth happens in discomfort. When you push yourself to focus, when your mind wants to wander, when you choose to endure difficulty instead of avoiding it, when you train yourself to stay with a task even when it feels overwhelming, you are building mental strength. Every moment of discomfort you endure is a moment in which your mind is becoming stronger. Disciplining the mind also requires a deep commitment to self-awareness. Many people go through life unaware of their own thought patterns, reacting to impulses without understanding why. A disciplined mind takes a step back, observes its own tendencies, and makes deliberate choices. It questions its own distractions, examines its own weaknesses, and actively works to correct them. This kind of self-awareness does not come naturally. It must be developed through reflection, through mindfulness, through the conscious effort to understand and direct one's own thoughts. Mental discipline is not about forcing yourself to work harder through sheer willpower alone. It is about training your mind to operate in a way that serves your goals rather than undermines them. It is about rewiring your brain to focus when needed, to resist temptation when necessary, and to endure struggle without breaking. The stronger your mental discipline, the more control you have over your own life. Distractions are the silent killers of progress. They creep into the mind unnoticed, stealing time, energy, and focus. They appear harmless, even entertaining, but their effects are insidious. Every moment spent indulging in distractions is a moment taken away from something meaningful. The ability to eliminate distractions is not just a matter of productivity. It is a matter of reclaiming control over your own mind. The modern world is built on distractions. Social media, advertisements, news cycles, and endless forms of entertainment are designed to capture attention and hold it for as long as possible. These distractions are not accidental. They are intentional foes. Entire industries exist to hijack focus, to create dependency on constant stimulation, and to keep people engaged in things that do not serve their long-term well-being. The more distracted a person becomes, the weaker their ability to think critically, to engage in deep work, and to pursue meaningful goals. Eliminating distractions requires awareness. Many people do not even recognize when they are being distracted. They pick up their phone without thinking, open a new tab out of habit, or allow small interruptions to derail their focus without questioning why. The first step in eliminating distractions is to become conscious of them. This means paying attention to the moments when focus is lost, identifying what triggered the distraction, and understanding the underlying impulse that led to it. Was it boredom? Was it discomfort? Was it a subconscious desire to escape from something difficult? The more aware a person becomes of their own distractions, the easier it is to remove them. One of the most effective ways to eliminate distractions is to create an environment that supports focus. The mind is influenced by its surroundings. If a phone is within reach, the temptation to check it will always be there. If notifications are constantly appearing, they will pull attention away from important tasks. If a workspace is cluttered and chaotic, the brain will struggle to maintain clarity. Creating an environment free from distractions is not just a convenience, it is a necessity for sustained focus. This means turning off notifications, keeping digital temptations out of sight, and setting up a workspace that encourages deep concentration. Time management is another crucial factor in eliminating distractions. Many distractions arise because there is no clear structure to the day. Having a clear schedule, setting specific time blocks for focused work, and establishing boundaries around when and where distractions are allowed can make a significant difference. A person who decides in advance when they will engage in work and when they will engage in leisure is far less likely to fall into the trap of mindless distractions. Self-discipline plays a key role in removing distractions. It is not enough to simply recognize them. They must be actively resisted. This requires a conscious effort to break habits that have been reinforced over time. If checking social media has become an automatic response to boredom, that habit must be replaced with something more productive. If interruptions are constantly pulling attention away from work, deliberate steps must be taken to minimize them. The ability to say no to distractions is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. Eliminating distractions also means being selective about where attention is directed. Not all distractions come in the form of social media or entertainment. Some distractions disguise themselves as productivity. Endless planning, excessive research, or constantly switching between tasks can create the illusion of progress while actually preventing meaningful work from being done. The mind must be trained to recognize when something is truly valuable and when it is simply a way of avoiding deep, difficult work. Attention is a limited resource. Every person has a finite amount of mental energy each day. If that energy is spent on distractions, there is nothing left for the work that truly matters. This is why focus is so powerful. The ability to direct attention towards something meaningful without interruption allows for deeper thinking, better problem solving, and more significant progress. When distractions are removed, the mind becomes sharper, more capable, and more resilient. The ability to focus is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop, and it starts with the conscious decision to eliminate anything that weakens it. A strong why fuels focus, shaping the way the mind directs its attention and energy. Without a clear purpose, focus becomes fragile, easily broken by distractions, doubts, and difficulties. The human mind needs something meaningful to attach itself to, a compelling reason to push through obstacles and sustain effort over time. Purpose acts as a mental anchor, keeping attention fixed on what truly matters, rather than allowing it to drift toward meaningless diversions. When a person has a strong purpose, their ability to focus is no longer dependent on fleeting motivation. They do not need external rewards or constant encouragement to stay engaged in their work. Instead, their focus is internally driven, sustained by a deep understanding of why their efforts matter. This internal drive creates a level of mental resilience that allows a person to push through frustration, fatigue, and uncertainty. When the mind is clear on its purpose, distractions lose their power and difficulties become challenges to overcome rather than excuses to quit. Purpose brings clarity to decision making. Every day presents countless choices about where to direct attention and energy. Without a strong sense of purpose, it is easy to become overwhelmed by these choices, constantly shifting focus from one thing to another without making meaningful progress. But when a person has a clear why, their decisions become simpler. They know what aligns with their purpose and what does not. They do not waste time on activities that serve no meaningful function. They do not allow distractions to take control because they recognize that their focus is a valuable resource, one that must be used wisely. The connection between purpose and focus is evident in the way high performers operate. Whether in business, sports, or creative fields, those who achieve the highest levels of success are not necessarily the most talented, but they are the most purpose-driven. They have a deep conviction about why they do what they do, and that conviction keeps them focused even in the face of adversity. They do not allow setbacks to derail them because their purpose is stronger than their fear of failure. This is what separates those who persist from those who give up. It is not just discipline or talent. It is a sense of meaning that keeps them engaged. A purpose-driven mind does not waste energy on trivial matters. It does not become consumed by temporary frustrations or minor inconveniences. Instead, it stays locked onto the bigger picture, always moving forward despite distractions and challenges. This kind of focus creates momentum, and momentum makes progress inevitable. Each step taken in alignment with purpose reinforces the ability to focus, making it easier to continue pushing forward. This is why some people seem to accomplish so much, while others struggle to stay on track. It is not just a matter of time or effort. It is a matter of having a reason strong enough to sustain focus over the long term. Purpose also transforms the way the mind perceives difficulty. When effort is connected to something meaningful, struggle no longer feels like suffering. It feels like progress. Hard work is not seen as a burden, but as a necessary part of achieving something important. This shift in perspective changes everything. It eliminates the need for constant motivation because the work itself becomes fulfilling. There is a sense of pride in staying committed, in pushing through discomfort, in knowing that every moment of focused effort is bringing a person closer to something that truly matters. The ability to focus is not just about eliminating distractions. It is about making focus effortless by aligning it with something deeply important. When a person is passionate about what they are doing, focus becomes natural. There is no need to force it, no need to constantly fight against boredom or impatience. Instead, the mind locks onto the task because it recognizes its value. This is why people who love what they do often seem to have endless energy for their work. Their purpose fuels their focus, creating a cycle of engagement and achievement that propels them forward. Without a strong purpose, focus is fragile. It is easily broken by external pressures, by fleeting desires, by the natural tendency of the mind to seek comfort over challenge. But when purpose is clear, focus becomes unshakable. It is no longer a struggle to stay committed because the reason for doing so is undeniable. Every great achievement, every lasting success, every meaningful contribution comes from a mind that has learned to harness the power of focus through a deep and unwavering sense of purpose. Growth does not come from ease and comfort. The mind strengthens when it is forced to confront difficulty, to push through resistance, to persist when every part of it wants to stop. Discomfort is not something to be avoided. It is something to be embraced. It is the signal that progress is happening, that limits are being tested, that mental muscles are being built. The more a person learns to tolerate and even seek out discomfort, the stronger and more focused their mind becomes. The modern world is filled with opportunities to escape discomfort. If something feels boring, there is instant entertainment available at the touch of a button. If a task feels difficult, there is an easy excuse to put it off. If a challenge seems overwhelming, there is always an option to quit. This constant ability to retreat into comfort weakens the mind. It creates a habit of avoiding anything that requires effort, making focus and persistence nearly impossible. When the mind is not trained to endure discomfort, it becomes fragile, easily distracted, and unable to stay locked onto a goal for an extended period of time. The strongest minds are the ones that have learned to override the impulse to seek comfort. They understand that real growth happens on the edge of difficulty. The greatest athletes do not become great by staying within their comfort zones. The best musicians, writers, thinkers, and innovators do not reach mastery by avoiding struggle. They achieve excellence because they are willing to engage with difficulty, to lean into discomfort, to embrace the process of pushing beyond what feels easy. The ability to focus deeply for long periods without breaking comes from repeated exposure to challenge. Mental endurance is built in the moments when quitting seems like the easiest option. When the mind starts looking for excuses, when distractions begin to seem more appealing, when the temptation to walk away becomes strong, these are the moments that define whether focus will grow or weaken. Every time a person pushes through discomfort, they train their brain to tolerate more. Every time they resist the urge to quit, they build mental resilience. Over time, this resilience transforms into an unshakable ability to focus, no matter the circumstances. There is a reason why so few people achieve mastery in their field. Mastery requires an extreme level of focus, and focus requires an ability to stay with something even when it becomes difficult, frustrating, or exhausting. Most people stop when things become uncomfortable. They assume that struggle is a sign to quit, that difficulty means they are not meant for something. But those who understand the power of discomfort see things differently. They know that struggle is not a signal to stop. It is a sign that they are on the right path. They see difficulty as an opportunity, as a test of their ability to stay locked in, to remain engaged, to push forward when everything inside them wants relief. Discomfort also has a way of revealing weaknesses. It shows where the mind is fragile, where focus is easily broken, where effort collapses under pressure. This is valuable information. Instead of avoiding these moments, a strong mind welcomes them, using them as opportunities to improve. If a person struggles to focus for long periods, they do not accept it as permanent limitation. They train themselves to go longer. If they become mentally exhausted too quickly, they do not give in. They push a little further each time. This process of leaning into discomfort rather than avoiding it is what ultimately separates those who succeed from those who do not. Most people underestimate their ability to tolerate discomfort. They assume that their limits are fixed, that they can only focus for a certain amount of time, that they can only push themselves so far. But these limits are not real, and they are self-imposed. The mind is capable of much more than it believes, but the only way to discover this is by testing those limits, by going beyond what feels comfortable, by refusing to stop when stopping seems like. The moment a person begins to redefine their relationship with discomfort is the moment they begin to unlock a level of focus and strength they did not know they had. Embracing discomfort does not mean forcing oneself to suffer for no reason. It means recognizing that real growth comes from difficulty and making the choice to lean into that difficulty rather than run from it. It means seeing discomfort not as an enemy, but as a teacher. It means understanding that every moment spent in deep focus, resisting distraction, overcoming the urge to quit, is a moment in which the mind is becoming stronger, sharper, and more capable of achieving great things. Focus is not just about what the mind directs its attention to, it is also about what it chooses to ignore. Every day there are countless opportunities to be pulled in different directions, to engage in meaningless distractions, to waste time on things that do not contribute to long-term success. The ability to say no is one of the most important skills a person can develop if they want to strengthen their mind. It is not just about rejecting obvious distractions like social media or mindless entertainment. It is about learning to cut out anything that does not serve a greater purpose. The reason most people struggle with focus is not because they do not have the ability to concentrate. It is because they do not have control over where their attention goes. They allow external forces to dictate what they think about, what they work on, and what they spend their time doing. They check their phones because a notification appears. They switch tasks because something momentarily feels more interesting. They say yes to commitments that do not align with their goals because they do not want to disappoint others. This lack of control over attention weakens the mind, making it reactive rather than proactive. The strongest minds belong to those who have mastered the ability to say no. They do not allow their time and energy to be drained by unnecessary commitments, by trivial distractions, by people and activities that do not align with their long-term vision. They are ruthless in protecting their focus because they understand that every moment spent on something unimportant is a moment taken away from something that truly matters. They recognize that saying yes to one thing always means saying no to something else, and they are deliberate about what they choose to prioritize. One of the biggest challenges in maintaining focus is the illusion of productivity. Many distractions disguise themselves as meaningful work. Endless meetings, constant emails, unnecessary multitasking, these are all things that create the illusion of being busy while preventing real progress. A strong mind is able to recognize when something is truly valuable, and when it is simply an obligation that drains energy without moving the needle forward. The ability to say no to these disguised distractions is just as important as resisting obvious ones. Saying no is difficult because it often comes with discomfort. It means disappointing others, rejecting opportunities that seem appealing in the moment, and standing firm in decisions that may not always be understood by those around you. But those who master focus do not make decisions based on short-term emotions. They make decisions based on long-term priorities. They understand that their time and mental energy are limited resources, and they refuse to waste them on things that do not align with their greater purpose. One of the most effective ways to strengthen focus is to set clear boundaries. This means creating specific times for deep work, eliminating unnecessary commitments, and structuring the environment in a way that minimizes distractions. It means not answering every message immediately, not allowing external demands to dictate the day, and not giving in to the pressure to always be available. Those who lack boundaries find themselves constantly pulled in different directions, unable to sustain focus on what truly matters. But those who enforce strong boundaries create an environment that supports mental strength rather than weakens it. Saying no also applies to internal distractions. The mind is constantly generating thoughts, emotions, and impulses that can pull attention away from the present moment. Doubt, fear, worry, these mental intrusions can be just as disruptive as external distractions. A disciplined mind learns to say no to these internal interruptions, refusing to let negative thoughts take control. It recognizes when the mind is trying to escape discomfort and brings attention back to the task at hand. Mastering the ability to say no is not about being rigid or closed off. It is about being intentional. It is about knowing what deserves attention and what does not. It is about taking full control over where energy is directed and refusing to let external forces dictate the course of focus. The more a person strengthens their ability to say no, the stronger their mind becomes. They become less reactive, less easily swayed, and more capable of sustaining deep focus on what truly matters.